how good was AussieAntics FNCS Pro-Am winner really in his first onstage appearance? Obviously, Peterbot did the heavy lifting, and in any typical duo, you'd state this as a clear carry. But in a creator-pro duo, I actually wouldn't go that far. Today, we're comparing Aussie's performance to their game script, not stats, so it actually makes sense. We'll look at the game plan from kills, damage, placement, including their strategy and high ground win. So, did Aussie underperform or exceed expectations? The first thing I noticed in Game 1 was Peterbot's aggression, but then I looked at the kill feed and saw Aussie getting a knock and elim on EU Pro SETI. Not bad, off to a good start. I'd already say he's exceeding expectations by eliminating a pro, not to mention him and Pete got almost no practice together leading up to this. Regardless, their synergy was still on point. I mean, look at this next part. Surprisingly, Ali A and Mongrel seem to be putting Pete in the blender. Okay, maybe not, but he actually almost went down until the Australian Jesus came from around back to edit a path for Peter to back out of. And then of course dropped immense. I know it might not seem like a crazy play, but it's so important and honestly really impressive game sense given their lack of play together beforehand. With both of them alive, they were able to back out and re-establish themselves in later zones, looking for fries from the air. And of course this kill was a team effort, not necessarily Aussie specifically popping up, but he did get the kill credit and that's what counts, and dropped this famous line on the broadcast.
Dude, 2-2, man, come on, kill check by me, come on, man. You gotta be at least triple my kills.
So I'd say he's exceeding expectations already. However, endgames weren't as sharp for him. But there were still a few impressive details that I noticed. For example, when Peterbot wants to key Mongrel here, he pushes ahead and it's Aussie who is protecting his back for him with builds and holding the walls while Peterbot edits them a pathway out. Just really good at knowing their roles. The IGL pushes ahead and then calls a retreat, creating the pathway, while Aussie, the support, holds the builds and doesn't try to edit, which is important because it allows Peter to do so without scuffing anything. I know, not glamorous, but so important for endgame tarping, just paying attention to the details like that. However, there were plenty of times where the attention just left him and he got awareness checked. Or, I don't even know if you can call this awareness checking because he literally handed himself and his chug jug to Cold on a silver platter. Cold was first of all shooting, which would provide audio and visual sound effects, and the wood wall was semi-built, allowing you to see through it and potentially scout, and Mr. Aussie just sprinted right through getting pumped. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes, so I'm not going to harp on this too much, but during Game 1, I thought Cold was going to make a run for the top spot, and giving him that chug jug then would have been a serious tick against Aussie, but thankfully that didn't end up happening when the leaderboard shook out. Did get me nervous though, especially since in Game 1, Pete went down in a very uncharacteristic way by scuffing an edit 4 times.
That one away, Peterbot is struggling to get out of the box, but they send him.
So far it's going good, but Game 2 starts with a brutal beginning when Aussie goes down immediately.
But Peterbot finds himself at Dirty Dodge. Aussie finds himself down. But Aussie going down changes things up completely because guess where he just got rebooted?
They're all looking up in the sky. Aussie doing everything he can to try and duck it out, but he's gonna get knocked one more time. Somebody's sure to clean him up. That'll be gone, but
Respawning in a pro lobby and reload is definitely not easy, don't get me wrong. But in almost all circumstances, you never pull your glider this high and do the glider spam thing. It's almost always better to drop down where your teammate is and loot. However, I wasn't in the call, so I don't know what the comms were. Maybe Pete didn't want the reboot attention anywhere near him at that specific moment, but still, I gotta write this as a knock against Aussie for pulling the glider so high. Of course, he did learn later in the tournament though. However, when we do get a listen in on their comms on the broadcast, we are enlightened with some good calls and strong scouting by Aussie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go kill LEA.
Yeah, nice.
Step beyond.
Yep, I'm just getting this left truck and then I'll help you, okay?
That's
Nice, very good.
farm out of here.
Good stuff,
Follow Mongrel.
Yep, yeah. Nice, very good stuff, man.
Obviously, Peter was flowing like water in that clip, but it was a good comm from him to tell Aussie to follow Mongrel, and that Aussie has the confidence and ability to track him down for Peter to later chase him down and get that kill. So Peter was carrying a little bit there, but Aussie comes back a little bit later and actually gets a really nice kill on Mongrel, who again is a pro.
as Aussie continues to try and chase out Mongrel.
I'm just saying, this is the Aussie I really wanted to see. It feels like he's feeling himself right now. 4 shockwaves, breaks into the box, and he almost, oh he does! Aussie takes down Mongrel! Woo, this is what I came to see this weekend.
I have to say that was very impressive to me. The fact that he had the confidence to just do that, and then the skill to also take down Mongrel, just an absolute chef's kiss. So he can obviously handle his ones, but he also plays really well with Peterbot in synergy when they are fighting together. Obviously a lot of the time it's Peterbot fighting solo, but when they're together and they're hopping in boxes, it works.
Seen at least 3 teams over towards Slurpee. One of them's gonna get jumped on by Peterbot. That's Jacob who does go down. It's actually Aussie who gets the elimination.
Say what you will about kill stealing, but I love seeing Aussie get the credit for kills like this. And I do say kill stealing sort of jokingly and with an asterisk because Aussie was actually putting out big damage for a creator. Halfway through the broadcast, they showed the damage output of all the creators invited, and Aussie was in 4th place with over 800 damage. And that was shown before their big pop-off 10 kill win, so I bet he's even higher on the list by the end of the tournament. We'll just have to wait and see once Kinch Analytics updates the stats for the Pro-Am to see what the finishing tally was. But halfway through the tournament, he wasn't doing half bad on 867 damage output, and only behind names like Somerset, who still competes in tournaments to this day, and Zemi, who people generally regard as having the best aim in the game, as pretty much just a no-build player who can aim. Another criteria I was going to talk about was AussieAntics' ability to survive. So the few times that Peterbot did go down, it was Aussie's job to stay alive for that 10, 20, 45 seconds, and he did his job perfectly. So another point to him there. And I mean, on a side note, typical gamer doing that to Peterbot was something magical. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what it's like having that equipment in 0 ping at the Pro-Am. But if you're looking for equipment, speaking of which, a new mouse pad, then check out my collection of mouse pads with some custom designs that we just came up, and I'm really proud of. And not forcing you to do shit or check it out, but if you like the designs, full desk mouse pad is pretty nice. But Aussie and Peterbot got the god loadout this game and played the game to win. Aussie did a good job of holding high ground with Pete here, not doing anything fancy, just fending off anyone potentially trying to contest their height by shooting down. Of course, they then start bridging when they need to, and he plays back little while Pete drops down and reconnects and just overall plays it safe. But then they get contested, and Peterbot goes to fight it and try to secure a much needed refresh, but pay attention to Aussie here. While Pete is going for the kill and loot and shockwaving around, almost going down to Storm, Aussie is playing it safe and surviving in circle. And I say playing it safe like there's anything else he can do in this dangerous situation with 0 mats, but if Pete happened to go down to Storm there, Aussie may be able to get 1 more placement point. But since Pete survived, they were one of the only duos still alive in this small of a circle, which in itself is a win condition. Aussie then goes to low ground while Pete stays high and attempts to frag.
Aussie's gonna play Disruptor on low.
You don't know who he is until you realize that is Fragger Aussie on the low ground, causing chaos. Peterbot's chopping down Cooper, sending him all the way down low through that low ground.
But Colt, he's right there in the mind of Peterbot. Cooper trying to do what he can. Peterbot doesn't have a whole lot of HP to work with. He'll at least have the opportunity, though, from the high ground to play off these small shell potions. Cooper goes up, but Cooper gets knocked down. Peterbot with the clutch. We all know what he's capable of, and he is just continuing to deliver.
So in a world where performance is subjective, what do you think? Because I think Aussie definitely exceeded expectations, and that's why he came away hoisting the trophy. I tried to be as positive as I could while providing real criticism, so if you respect that style and pro breakdown analysis, then please invest in the channel and drop a like for more. And while we're talking about Peterbot, if you've ever been curious about his first ever earnings, then check out this video where I break that down. Thank you so much for watching. Use code reidtheninja or Aussie or Pete's code, and on that note, I am signing